Hey friends, Kelly here. I am back with a new layout for Hip Kit Club. As I mentioned in my past couple videos, we now have a new sketch challenge happening in the forum each week, and the new sketches are posted on Tuesday. I have shown you the sketches for the past couple weeks, but this week I'm not going to show you. I want you to head over to the Facebook forum to check it out. There are a couple other design team members that create each week with the sketch, so you'll get 3 different takes on the sketch, and then we love to see what you create based off the sketch. You do not have to be a Hip Kit Club subscriber to join us in the forum. It's just a great place to chat with other paper crafters and to show off your projects if you'd like. So I really encourage you to head over. I will make sure to link to it in the description below, and I hope you'll join us, and I hope you'll post what you're creating based off our sketches each week. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on with my layout. I did some playing with the layers off camera just to figure out where I wanted to position things. I will talk a little bit more about the layers in just a moment, but now I'm getting ready to add some mixed media to my layout. So I made pencil marks where the photo is going to lay, just so I know where to apply the packaging for the mixed media. I am going to use the Well Blue Me Down shimmers that is available in the color kit, and I just want the color to be peeking out from behind the photo. So I wanted to know where my photo was going to sit, so I knew where to place the packaging so the color went on there in the areas that I needed it. So I'm just going to cut up this packaging that one of the kits came in, and then I'm going to spray the Well Blue Me Down shimmers onto the packaging and then just smush the color onto the cardstock. I will bring in my layers quite a few times as I'm applying the mixed media just to make sure that the color is in the areas that I want it and that it's pretty even. I want it to be peeking out from the top and the bottom and both sides. So by bringing the layers back over, I know where the coverage is and I know where I need to reapply the packaging, so that way the color is evenly distributed around the photo. So it takes a few different applications of the color to get it just the way that I want it. So while I am working on that, let's talk about the layers that I have going on behind my photo. I used a couple different pattern papers from the main kit. Those are both from the Snow and Cocoa collection. And I cut what I guess you could call film strips just using a couple different Cricut cartridges that I have in my stash. And I'm going to use those as the layering pieces behind my photo. I did add in a few snowflakes. 2 of the snowflakes are from an exclusive cut file, which you can find on the Hip Kit Club website. And then another one of the snowflakes is from the Snow and Cocoa ephemera pack that's included in the Documenting December kit. So in just a moment, I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I'm going to start working on the layers behind my photo. I'm going to add a white cardstock mat directly behind the photo. Since I am using a black and white photo, I did want to use bright colors and light colors behind the photo to help it contrast and to help it stand off the layout a little bit more. I did contemplate on using the dark gray cardstock that's included in the cardstock kit as one of my layers, but because there was so much gray with the photo already, I decided just to stay with light, airy colors behind the photo just to help it pop off the page. So I'm going to trim this down to size, and then I'm going to bring in a couple different papers. I am going to use that teal colored cardstock that's included in the cardstock kit, and then I'm also going to use that pattern paper that you see there that is from the Snow and Cocoa collection, and that is included in the main kit. I play with these papers for a little bit, just trying to get them to the right size. So while I am trimming all of these down, let's go ahead and talk about the photo that I am using today. This photo actually has a funny story behind it. This was taken one night when we went to see a movie. We went to dinner, and there was a dollar theater that was right next to the restaurant that we were eating at. So there was a movie playing that we hadn't saw yet. It was Minions, and Aiden was wanting to see it, and they happened to have a showtime close to the time that we were going to be finished eating. We had never been to this theater before, and we walked in, and I should have known we were in trouble the minute we walked in the door, but it was freezing in there. We had to wear our winter coats the whole time. Andy didn't bring a coat with him, so he was really cold. It smelled in there, not a dirty smell, but just kind of an old smell. It was kind of musty. And when the movie started, there was a bright yellow line that went straight down the center of the screen. And it was like that for the entire movie. So the whole time we were watching it, it looked like we were watching the movie on 2 separate screens because of that line that was running straight down the screen. And there were pops and flickers and cracks and just all sorts of craziness while the movie was playing. And we couldn't help but laugh. It was just the funniest experience. It was definitely one of those you get what you pay for experiences. I will definitely pay full price for a ticket again when we go to see a movie. I don't think we'll ever go back to this theater. We haven't been back there since, but it was just the funniest experience. We could not help but laugh. We were dying laughing as we were leaving the theater, and I actually snapped this as we were walking out, and it was just an awful movie experience. It was terrible, but it is absolutely one of my favorite memories of us together as a family. Okay, so getting back to the layout, I have decided that I want to add a little more mixed media to the layout. So I have grabbed the stencil that is included in the November color kit, and also the Foiled Again Dazzlers, which is a texture paste from Shimmers that is also included in the color kit. And I'm just adding some horizontal lines to the layout for a little added interest. I did add some fun foam behind my photo just for a little extra dimension. And now I'm going to start working on the layers that I'm going to place on the left-hand side of the layout. So I'm going to cut some of the manufacturer strips off a few of the papers. That first paper you saw there is actually from the Documenting December kit. And then I'm going to cut apart a few of the pattern papers. A lot of it is just scraps that are left over from previous layouts. And then I'm just going to work on the positioning of those pattern papers on the left-hand side of the layout. It does take me some time to figure out how I want to get those layers arranged on the left-hand side of the photo. I do know that I want to create a cluster towards the bottom left-hand side, and I'm going to do that using those pieces that you see there. Two of them are from the exclusive ephemera pack that's included in the main kit, and then the snowflake is from that exclusive cut file that I mentioned towards the beginning of the video. I thought that I wanted to use those triangle pieces on the top left-hand side of the layout, but I decide against that. I do bring in a few more ephemera pieces, just trying to figure out where I want to position things. I know I want to add another pattern paper next to that bokeh pattern paper. And as crazy as this sounds, but I think that all paper crafters can relate to this. Sometimes papers are just too pretty and you don't want to cut into them, which is absolutely crazy because there's no point in hoarding them. But I couldn't bring myself to cut up a few of those papers. So I'm going through the manufacturer strips to see if maybe I want to piece together a few of those manufacturing strips for a little extra pop of color and a little bit more dimension. But I end up deciding against that, and I do decide to use a full strip of that light pink paper that has the bright pink polka dot, which you can see here. So I am going to cut a pretty broad section. I think it's 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to layer it behind that bokeh pattern paper. So I'm going to get that layered together, and then I'm going to bring in my cluster, and that banner piece on that cluster on the bottom left hand side actually says all of us together, but I just wanted the us together because the bigger ephemera piece says so much fun. So much fun, us together. I don't know if it really makes sense, but that's how I wanted to position it. So I'm just going to use the snowflake and that bigger ephemera piece, the so much fun ephemera piece, to cover up the all of, so that way just the us together is showing on that banner. Okay, so I am happy with how this is coming together. I am ready to commit, so I'm going to start adhering things down. I don't really worry about how much adhesive I'm applying behind those strips of paper because I know I'm going to do some stitching later on. And I use metallic thread, some silver metallic thread for my stitching, and it gave me so much trouble. It kept breaking, so I kept having to rethread my needle, and then my bobbin ran out of thread, so I had to rethread my bobbin, and it took forever. But I am so happy with how it turns out. I think stitching is a great way to add texture and some extra color to a layout, so I do tend to add it on a majority of my layouts, and I'm so happy I did and that I stuck with it because I really love how it turned out on this layout. So I decided that I need a little something extra on the left-hand side of the layout. So this is part of a pattern paper from a manufacturer strip, and I am just using my scallop border punch, and I am just going to create a scallop and run it down a majority of that left-hand side. I'm just going to tuck it in, and then I will adhere it to the layout using some stitching. Okay, so here you can see that I have added the stitching around one of those film strips and then on the left-hand side of the layout. I did add my journaling also, and I had a hard time figuring out where to place my journaling. So what I did is I typed it into strips and then cut it, and then I placed it on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the layout. And I really like how that turned out. I had a lot of journaling for this layout because I did want to document the story that I told you towards the beginning of the video. So the text was long and I didn't want it to take up too much room on the layout, and I was having a hard time figuring out where to position it. So this just worked out really well. It keeps it grouped together, but it also keeps it minuscule on the layout, so it doesn't take up a whole lot of room, but I'm still able to tell the full story. I've decided that I want to add some sequins onto the layout, so I am applying those to the layout using liquid glass, which is equivalent to glossy accents. And I just have the liquid glass on a piece of packaging, and then I'm using my tweezers to dip the sequins into the liquid glass and then applying them to the layout using my tweezers. I do add a few clusters of the sequins just to help create a visual triangle. So I'm going to add it to the right hand side of the photo and then the bottom left around that cluster. And then I will add it to the top left right by those film strips just to help your eye dance around the layout. I'm going to add the date using my date stamp, and it doesn't stamp evenly, so I do bring in my journaling pen just to fill in the areas that didn't get stamped down all the way. And then that is going to wrap things up. I think the layout is finished now. I am going to bring it closer to the camera so you can see things in detail, the stitching, and then also the sequins and the journaling and just kind of how I have things spread out. I will leave you with some still shots in just a moment. So remember to head over to the Hip Kit Club Facebook forum so that way you can see the sketch for this week and play along if you like. We would love to see what you create. We would love for you to join us there. So I'm going to leave you with those still shots. I will be back again very soon with another layout and another process video. As always, thank you so much for watching.